It started in Liverpool, England. It started in Liverpool, England, and swept up the youth of the world. Hello, everybody. Hello, it's Matthew Street, and welcome to my channel. And folks, I am so happy you're here. And I know, you've already seen a million gazillion openings, reveals, showings of the new Beatles US albums box set. You've already seen a million showings of people opening up the Target exclusive opaque blue Meet the Beatles exclusive limited edition. You've seen it all. You've heard it all. I know, because everything came out Friday and it's Sunday right now. By the time you get this, it's probably going to be Monday. It's 3 days later. But what am I going to do, folks? But I do have something to show you, folks. And as I said at the beginning of this video, it started in Liverpool and it swept up the youth of the world. And when it came to America, folks, and this album was released of January 1964, this is an original mono copy of Meet the Beatles. Look at it. Look at it in all its glory. This is a beautiful, pristine copy I have of an original 60-year-old Meet the Beatles. And many fans didn't treat it as well as this one, okay? You got fans that wrote all over their albums, like this Michelle here, who was a loyal fan back in 1964, and she went to town on her Meet the Beatles, didn't she? She loved them, and she showed it. And folks, the mania was real. The mania was real. And I have an old thing to show you in this old brown paper bag, as you can see. Meet the Beatles. Very old Beatle records. What's in here, folks, is when my parents bought me Meet the Beatles in 1964, we lived in a little two-story apartment. We were on the second floor above my maternal grandparents in Providence, Rhode Island. I was the firstborn in the family, and so I was there and with mom and dad on that second floor, and as I've told the story, something sparked them about this phenomenal band from Liverpool, England, that had come to America and just brought joy, happiness, and beautiful music to the masses. And my parents got caught up in the mania a little bit. Now, they were way too old to be Beatle fans. By the time I was born, mom and dad were like 30 years old. So by the time the Beatles came, they were pushing their mid-30s when the Beatles came to America. And yet something sparked them to buy me Meet the Beatles. This is the original vinyl of Meet the Beatles that my parents bought me in 1964, folks. The cover and the inner sleeve are long, long gone. I can even hold it like this because it is so beat up and scratched. And from years of just being around and abused and thrown around by me and my two little brothers, I'm sure. And here it is, though, folks. This is my original. This is the actual one my mom and dad bought me in 1964. And I've treasured it and kept it in this brown paper bag all these years just to preserve it as a memory of mom and dad and the first Beatles album I ever had. Now, folks, I was beside myself when I heard I could get brand new printed editions in 2024 of Meet the Beatles and the other albums that are part of this release, but certainly Meet the Beatles. And folks, I finally got it. Yes, I have mine to show you, a day late and $1 short, or 3 days late and $3 short. But anyway, here you go. Here is my Target exclusive opaque blue Meet the Beatles. You've seen this before. I'm not showing you anything you haven't seen on other channels. So here's the hype sticker there. There's the Target sticker here. Okay, beautiful. Here is the back. All right, pretty much standard printing as on the old original, made in France. So, however, I mean, there is some difference, variation. I mean, this is a printed all over piece of cardboard in high gloss, where an original is glued on or pasted on paper, a paper like poster over plain cardboard, if you get my drift. All right, and you'll notice the again, they're in plastic and stuff, but you'll notice there is slight variations on the what do you call it, the detail of the image on an original from 64 based on the new Target exclusive. I mean, a little difference in the clarity of it, I would say, hard to show you. I apologize, folks. But you've seen other people's videos. There is slight differences, but I got to say, they did a darn good job printing these new sleeves. It's heavy stock cardboard. It's printed right to the cardboard. It's just one, continuous printing on the cardboard rather than a pasted on thing. But you know what? I'll take it as is. And I like it because I want something that was original and unique. And this is the way it was 60 years ago. And I like that. I like that I can have that still. But I like that this is very similar but slightly different to differentiate between the two pressings and releases. So that's a nice touch. So I did get it. And you've seen it before. But real quick before I talk more about this, folks. Here it is. Okay. On the blue opaque vinyl, capital rainbow swirl. There's one side. Here's the other side. Beautiful. I don't know how it's translated with my lighting here, but you get the idea. Very nice. Very attractive album. Okay. Give you some different angles of it. But yeah, it's in a nice polyline sleeve too, which is a nice touch to do that for us, to put it in there. And then you still get the original replication of the original inner sleeve, the blue inner sleeve that Meet the Beatles came in. Very good hard stock paper. So it's really well made, really sturdy. And then you get a beautiful insert, 4-page inserts. The front is the actual tape box when Meet the Beatles was being cut and pressed here in the United States by Capitol. The back, all right, getting information notes here. More information about the actual album. The credits for 2024 right there. And then a beautiful essay by Bruce Spicer in the centerfold right here with an image and advertisement for Meet the Beatles there. And you're getting that. You've seen this before if you've watched other videos, but I just want to show mine for you, folks. Now, folks, this album, when it came out in February of '64, January of '64, but when the Beatles came to America in February, I was beside myself with excitement. I was a very, very young boy, yet my parents knew that this new band from England was getting all the young people in a frenzy. My older cousins were all into the Beatles. Beatlemania was hitting everybody. And my parents, I give them credit that they jumped on that bandwagon, so to speak, and got me Meet the Beatles because they just saw all the other kids loving it and digging it. And they said, hey, let's do something fun for our little boy too. So they bought it for me. And what they would do is they had a little, and the mono was perfect, the mono pressing, and I can't wait to listen to it because that's the pressing I first heard the Beatles, mono. And they had a little hi-fi stereo. It looked like a piece of furniture. It had 4 wooden legs, and it was a big wooden box, and you'd flip open the top, and I forget where the speakers were. I think there were 2 on the sides of this box, or 1 big speaker. I don't even remember. And that was their stereo system. I couldn't tell you the brand, but it was your typical early to mid-'60s wood box piece of furniture type stereo that when you close the top, you can almost put a doily on it with a flower pot, and it would be a piece of furniture in your living room or whatever. And I remember that stereo, and they would put this record on for me. And what they had in my grandparents' second floor apartment was this little side room. And they had the stereo in there. They put the little hi-fi in their stereo, the hi-fi in there. And I had a little spring-loaded Pinto pony horse, like a little cowboy horse. It was white with black patches all over it, and it had the reins, and it had a little saddle on it. It was made of plastic, firm plastic, spring on each leg, and then it was on a frame. You remember those, right, if you're from that era. And you put your child on it, and they could bounce on this thing. The springs would go up and down, or they could go back and forth on this thing like this, or sway side to side, or go all in circles, whatever they wanted to do. And I did it all on this thing to the Beatles, folks. I did it all. Oh, my goodness. They would put on Meet the Beatles. I'd listen to it, and when side 1 ended, I would cry and whine, they said, till they flipped it over onto side 2. So side 1, then flip it to side 2, Mom and Dad, and put that on for me. And boom, needle went down, and I was good for another 15 minutes or so, or however long the sides of this thing. And when it ended, guess what? I wanted it again. And they'd have to put it on again, they said. Folks, the Beatles were imprinted in my brain at a very young, early age, and I've never looked back, as you know. And months later, they did get me eventually the Hard Day's Night soundtrack. You know, the regular, like the lunchbox back there, the regular Hard Day's Night soundtrack. And my dad has said before he passed away earlier this year that the song A Hard Day's Night was my favorite out of everything. That song, A Hard Day's Night, he said I wore out the needle on that one, because with Meet the Beatles, I would go side one, want side two, and I'd listen to it all the way through. With A Hard Day's Night, he said, I liked the other songs when they came on. He says, but that first song, A Hard Day's Night, he would have to really get up every 2.5 minutes because I would whine and cry to have him put it back to the beginning of the song on side one of the Hard Day's Night soundtrack. So that's a fun memory from Dad. And folks, it just warms my heart to see that now here we are, all these years later, getting this Target exclusive of Meet the Beatles. It brings back so many memories for me, folks. I'm just so excited and happy to have it, as I'm sure many of you are. And I just want you to know how excited I am about what's being released for the Beatles lately. You know, with the 6 album box set, along you get Beatles Story with it, which I'm not getting that. But I did get the Meet the Beatles. I'm really looking forward to this coming Friday with the Beatles 64 documentary, keeping my fingers crossed that it will be good. I hope you will come back for that, because I will be doing a comprehensive, detailed review of that documentary. I'm going to be taking notes as I watch it once through. I'll be taking detailed notes, telling you what I think, my emotions, my feelings as I watch it. So I hope you'll come back and share that video with me as well. So that's it, folks. I just wanted to show this to you. I wanted to talk about Meet the Beatles for a bit and the memories it brings into my heart and soul. It warms my heart now that Mom and Dad are no longer here, that I have this album again after so many years. And, makes me think of them and what they did for me all those years ago to bring the joy of this music into my life. And I could never, ever thank them enough for doing that. So bless you, Mom and Dad. Thank you. Bless all of you. Thank you for being here. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you haven't yet, I'd appreciate it. And I'll be back, I think, very soon, within a matter of days after this documentary comes out, to give my comprehensive review of it for you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Love you all. Bye-bye.